Hey guys, thank you so much for watching Riff with Cliff. Sometimes I talk to guitar players and they tell me that they don't know where to start when it comes to creating a riff, which is fair enough. That might seem daunting if you really don't know where to start, and it might be easier to learn already recorded songs of the artists that you know and love. But I'd like to give you 3 tips in this video because I think that writing your own music and making your own riffs is some of the most rewarding experiences that I have had as a guitar player. So here's 3 tips on creating your own riff. And if you like this kind of content, do me a favor, thumbs up and sub to my channel. Let's get started. The first tip that I want to give you is start simple. Start with like the pentatonic scale, and we can do that in the first position, which goes like this. So that's in the key of E, and that's what we'll use in this video, but you can use the pentatonic scale anywhere. But just for simplicity's sake, I think that that's a good place to start. So the scale consists of whole notes moving all the way up to the high register, the high E string, and it gives us a lot of different options. We can hit any of those notes in that scale, and all of those notes are gonna go well with each other. It's like flavor, ingredients to make a big, nice, flavorful riff. So for instance, I can hit this note, and I can hit this note, and I can hit this note. And they're all in the same scale. And all of those sound decent together. It doesn't sound jarring to the ear, and it doesn't sound like, oh, I didn't expect that. That's because it's all on the same scale, and when writing a riff, or just getting started into writing a riff, that's a good place to start, especially if you're a beginner. So in order to play this pentatonic scale, start here. Open on the low E string, 3rd fret on the low E string, which is a G note. Open on the A string, and then 2nd fret on the A string. Open on the D string, 2nd fret on the D string. Open on the G string, 2nd fret on the G string. Open on the B string, 3rd fret on the B string, and open on the E string, and 3rd fret on the high E string. Simple enough. So that's the first tip for you. You can play any note. You can write a riff using any note in that first little scale that I just taught you, and it's gonna sound good. But let's take it a step farther with step 2. Using those notes, let's just crank out some stuff that sounds interesting. So what I did is I just sat here recording this video for like 15 minutes, just making random stuff up within that note structure. I feel like I was able to come up with some interesting things. Maybe it would take you a little while to really flesh out some really intricate stuff, but in just 15 minutes, I was able to come up with several riffs that I just made up off the top of my head that can be used in like a jam or as a basic structure for writing a detailed riff, or even if you just wanted a simple riff. So step 2 is using that scale and hitting notes within that scale in an order that sounds pleasing to the ear and a rhythm that sounds pleasing to the ear, because it's all about the melody when writing the riff. It's all about that note order. and you can just mix and match a bunch of different notes within that scale and come up with some really interesting things. My third tip for writing a riff is to utilize bending and utilize hammer-ons and pull-offs. So a hammer-on is simply this, but you can do it over and over again like this. And utilizing hammer-ons and pull-offs, you can get some really, really interesting stuff. You might want to also throw in some bends. So if you do something like this, a really fun place to use a hammer-on or a pull-off, really a pull-off, is the third fret on the low E string as like a launching point for yourself as a guitar player. Like, just get used to pulling off that G note into an E note because we're in the key of E, but we start on the G note. When writing riffs, try to utilize this stuff. You can come up with some really interesting stuff. So let me know in the comments if this helped you out. That's 3 intro level tips that I recommend for writing a riff. Step number 1, use a pentatonic scale. All the notes within this pentatonic scale will work together. Step number 2, come up with a pattern using that pentatonic scale. Because those notes work together, it's your job to kind of mess around with the notes, come up with a melody, come up with a pattern. You can come up with some really interesting things just by sitting there and hitting notes within that pentatonic scale. Step number 3, utilize hammer-ons and pull-offs and bends, and that's just added flavor within your lick to make it sound unique and identifiable to you, or to give your riff a little bit of extra flavor. Hi, baby. Callie Girl came to say hi. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Cliffhanger, and I will see you guys the next time that I see you. Peace.